And this is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. I had a chance to attend an event of the New York Council of the Navy League where retired Admiral Joe Callo spoke, a noted author about the Navy and Navy history. Admiral Callo, you outlined some new concerns and issues that the Navy has to look at going forward. What were some of the comments that you talked about today?
I think one of the most important things that we were talking about today is the need to advance public knowledge of what the real issues are in national defense so that we're making more informed, more intelligent decisions in terms of how we build, how we maintain, and how we shape the national defense of the country. So that probably was pretty close to the core of what we were talking about today.
One of your comments was about the increasing impact of drones, both that might be used by the U.S. Navy, but also ones that might be used by foreign powers and even second and third tier adversaries, as you described it. Why do you feel drones are going to be such an important factor going forward?
Sheer logic. We know that they are effective. We know that the technology can spread and will spread. We know that other people can and will develop drones, and that makes the United States more vulnerable in ways that we have never been vulnerable before. So it's a matter of very simple logic. You see that the weapon is there. You know that other people can and will develop them, and if they choose, can use them against the United States. And we have to understand that, and we have to think about that, and we have to plan for that.
One of the topics that was brought up was certainly the cost of defense and the cost of the Navy. When you go out and talk to the public, what do you say about why the Navy is important, why it's important that we fund the Navy to a level that can provide a proper defense?
It's pretty simple. The Navy and the other armed forces protect our way of life. They protect our values, how our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren are going to grow up. And we know that the world, we'd love it to be more friendly and a much nicer place, but it is a very dangerous place. And if our families and our ideas are going to survive, we're going to have a very, very strong military, one that is probably stronger than the one that we're headed for right now.
Okay. And if you would just tell our audience a little bit about your career serving in the U.S. Navy for many years.
Well, I joined the Navy when I went to college. I went through an NROTC program. After 4 years of college, I got my commission, went to the amphibious forces, served for 2 years, came out, had no intention of staying active with the Navy, but eventually did for what I hope are all the right reasons, and wound up with 32 years of service. And one of the best things about the Navy is that's where I met my wife.
That's terrific. And you've been an award-winning author, a terrific book on John Paul Jones, and I really enjoyed your recent book, The Sea Was Always There, kind of a biography of all the different ways you've been a sailor in your life. Tell us a little bit about the books that you've written.
Well, The Sea Was Always There is the most recent one, and as you point out, it's about how the sea has influenced me and what I've learned from the sea. But I've written 3 books about Horatio Nelson, the British Admiral. I've written a biography of John Paul Jones, and I was also the U.S. editor of a book called Who's Who in Naval History. So I've spent a fair amount of time writing books and articles about naval history and basic sea power issues.
That's great. Admiral Joe Callo, thank you so much. You've been a frequent guest on Sons of the American Legion Radio. Thank you for your service, and it was a delight to hear your remarks to the Navy League here in New York City today.
Thank you, Ken. My pleasure.
This is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio.